Alright guys, I do understand we are already a couple of months over the halfway mark of 2024, but I do want to talk about some of my favourite games I've played this year, and talk about my game of the year so far, and the games that just missed the mark. Because this has been a fantastic year of game releases. There's been heaps of indie titles coming out. This month in August looks amazing for indies alone, and I've been playing some incredible things, from brand new releases to games in my backlog, and I've had a fantastic year so far. But I don't think anybody would deny that after the amazing year that was 2023, that it feels a little bit slower, even though it's not really. Just put it into perspective, last year when I played Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in May, it was not knocked off my number one position. I knew that game was going to be my game of the year, and honestly, top 3 games of all time. That truly was an amazing game that obviously Nintendo did an amazing job with it, but also hit me at the right time. It was a game that I needed. It was a game that I wanted. It was a game that I anticipated over a long time. So looking to this year, I really don't have anything like that. I don't have a game that I've been waiting for 6 years for. I don't have a game that pulled me out of a tough situation. I've just had really fun games. That's all they need to be. But I think a lot of people are comparing it to last year, and I guess I am in some ways too, but that certainly doesn't take away from how fantastic 2024 has been. And my list actually has some smaller and bigger games in it, which I'm excited to talk about. So what I do with my rankings is typically I rank them as I finish them. I put them into a big list, and I put them into their positions, and once I lock them into their positions, they cannot be moved. So for example, if I put Princess Peach Showtime at number 10, and I'm like, alright, it's at number 10, I can no longer oh look, I actually really liked it, I'm going to put it at number 1, I'm going to put it above everything else that I played this year. That's a no-go, can't do that. So the only way I can actually change the position of the games is put something above it, or put something below it. So the only way these top 5 games in my list are going to be pushed out is if I play 5 games that I like better, and I'll push them up there. And honestly, I feel like a lot of these games will be pushed a fair bit at the second half of this year. A couple of my most anticipated games would be Legend of Zelda Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom and Astrobot on PlayStation 5. Really looking forward to those 2 titles. So there's at least 2 positions, but they're going to be pushed down. But without further ado, guys, let's jump into my top 5 for 2024 so far. Number 5 is Mario vs. Donkey Kong. This was a remake of a Game Boy Advance game that I quite enjoyed back in the day. I never owned it. I always just played it on emulator or virtual console or something like that. But I really enjoyed the game. I'm a big fan of Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy. That is my favourite Donkey Kong game. I was so surprised when I first played that on the virtual console on the 3DS. And I think the Mario vs. Donkey Kong series, I really do appreciate it. I have a lot of fun with it. And I'm glad that they remade it. It's a beautiful game. The music's fantastic. The visual flair, the presentation is amazing. I think just when it comes down to this game, it's I would have been quite happy just with a virtual console or Nintendo Switch Online release on Switch. It's a puzzle game. It works great in handheld mode. And I would have been quite happy with that. But they went the full yards. They charged $80 for it, or $70 for it here in Australia. And there's plenty of content. I was so surprised once I finished the game. So much more unlocks. You complete the main worlds, but you can go back and you can do time trials. You can go back, get all your stars. You can do an expert version of all the courses. There's so much there if you want it. I didn't want to spend 40 hours in Mario vs. Donkey Kong to 100% it. It's not quite where I'm at when I'm playing video games these days. I'm very much get the main experience and a little bit of extras as I'm going along, but once I hit those main credits, I'm sort of out of there. That's dad life. that's the life I chose when it comes to playing my games. But there's a lot there. If you're into puzzles, you're into puzzle platforming, this is one of the best games you could play in that genre. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Number 4 is, I got to remember this one because I just call it Hellblade 2, but it's Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. And I kind of lumped the first game into this because I played it just before, so I played them basically together. But Hellblade 2 is definitely an improvement on Hellblade 1. It's very different in some ways. The combat is very different. In some ways, it looks better if somebody's watching it, but I think I enjoyed the combat better in the first game. But when I first started playing Hellblade 1, it was something that I definitely had to get my head around. Just in the fact that you've got like this amazing audio experience, you're not quite sure what's going on, you got voices inside your head telling you one thing, and you're not sure whether to believe them or not, and that feeds into the gameplay, which is really interesting, and no other game really does that. So this is a really unique narrative experience that utilizes audio and really showcases mental health and gives you an understanding of what it's like for somebody with those conditions. And I think that's really important. I think that's what video games are really strong at, is putting you into somebody else's shoes, because if you're just watching, say, a movie of somebody like with voices in the head and going sort of crazy in some ways and being misled and, you know, the anxiety and everything, it's like, it doesn't capture it quite as well as a video game. There's a TV series, You, which I think does that quite well, where you know, I forgot the main character. I haven't watched that show in a long time, but it very much involves got the cat here. it very much, like, you know, has him sort of trying to justify all of his actions and all that. And I think that show actually did quite a good job too. But it was something else, being like actually having your hand on the controller, pushing forward, being like, should I go that way? Should I go this way? Should I listen to this voice? Should I not? And it was very interesting, and I think the story ended up in a pretty cool place. Like, it meant a lot to me. And while it's not my favorite narrative experience, purely because that there is a lot of confusion throughout the game, just of like, you know, what's real, what's happening. It takes a little bit to piece it together, and I sort of understand that that's the intent. But I do like a story that sort of, once you finish it, you can think about it. I think about The Last of Us Part 2, where that was a game, once I finished it, I'm like, wow. The more I thought about it, the more I put together the events of what happened and put them in chronological order. That's a game where I just sat down and went, that was phenomenal. And when I did it for this game, I'm like, I sort of worked out like what's real, what's not. The events, what happened at the end. It's like, that was a very good story. But at times, the game did feel like it was dragging on. It did sort of outstay its welcome in some ways, even though it's like a 5-hour game. A little bit strange. The pacing wasn't perfect for both games. But the second game in particular, I'm like, I'm not really getting anything here. But yeah, overall, I did really enjoy the game. Doing something different, and yeah, Ninja Theory should be applauded for what they've done in this space. And hopefully, they get a chance to do something like this again. Don't need a Hellblade 3 personally. I don't know if we need more of Senua's saga or her story. But it was a really interesting and thought-provoking story that highlighted some important mental health aspects in our society, which often get overlooked and ignored. Number 3, Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. And this was a game that I'd never played, never properly played a Monkey Ball game. Always sort of dabbled in it, just, you know, on an emulator, or actually, it wasn't not even an emulator. I bought this game. I bought Banana Mania? I forgot when it was, on Wii anyway. I think it was a launch title on Wii. I picked it up later for cheaper, and I enjoyed it on there too. I think a lot of people sort of point towards the motion controls when it came to the Wii version, and rightfully so. When you're trying to do some precision rolling, there's certainly some aspects that can be annoying when you're just using the Wiimote. 100% understand that, but I think what I really liked about this one is that the challenges were challenging, but not too challenging. There was only a couple of levels towards the end of the 10-world main story that gave me a bit of a challenge, and those ones were more on the annoying side, actually. Like, there was one level in particular where it's like, I couldn't get the camera to even see where the goal was, so I just had to sort of do a shot, sort of luck my way into it. But I'm sure if you see a professional Monkey Ball player out there, you'll see that it's actually quite easy. I don't know. But heap of content in this one as well. A bunch of multiplayer modes I didn't really get into, but I just had a quick go just with CPUs. Yeah, well, I wasn't too interested in jumping into it, but it's kind of cool, a little bit Fall Guys-esque, where, you know, there's like 16 monkeys trying to get points and trying to get bananas, and there's a bunch of different game modes, which I think could be pretty interesting if you're into those sort of online party multiplayer modes, especially if you're into Fall Guys. I think it could scratch an itch there if you're sort of looking for that. But the story's really cool as well. I really liked just going through the levels and playing them and going for high scores and trying to get the collectibles as I'm going through it. Just, I guess, your standard sort of platformer when you're trying to go through it. There is a story, and I will say the presentation of the cutscenes and the menus and everything looks gorgeous. It's a really nice looking game. The only thing is, I couldn't care less about the story. It was something about a thief monkey and her daughter's on your side, and I watched the end cutscene and sort of put it together like, oh yeah. But while these cutscenes are really well done, I just, I wasn't interested. It's a very like kiddie story. I was just there for the gameplay, dude. And I don't know how many games I've ever skipped the cutscenes, mainly because I'm going into it usually for the cutscenes or the story going into it. Obviously, I'm not going to skip like an Uncharted cutscene or something like that the first time through. But yeah, Monkey Ball wasn't interested in the story. I didn't need the story, but the great thing about it is that's cherry on top of a really fantastic sort of platformer and time trial game. One of my good friends, Seth Sturgill, at the time this game came out, he was putting up screenshots and he was doing streams of trying to get the best times and doing trick shots to like absolutely smash your times, and I loved this aspect of the game. It wasn't something that I was going for. I didn't particularly care if I had like the best time or anything like that. I was just going for the best score, beat the level, go through it. Just, I guess in some ways the bare minimum. But if you're into that type of thing, you 100% try this game out. It's definitely worth it. And it came out the same week as Luigi's Mansion 2. And I got to say, out of those two, pick up Monkey Ball, man. This was a fantastic game, and I'm really surprised how high up on my list it is so far. Like, in number 3 position, Monkey Ball, man, it's got everything. Got the presentation, got the gameplay, looks really nice, runs fantastic on Switch. Just a really good game, so go and check it out if you feel like monkeying around. So we get serious, number 2, and I really had to think about number 2 position and number 3 position, because I could have easily put this at number 1. This was a game that I've been anticipating over the year since I first saw a trailer, and I didn't even understand what the game was, but it truly made me laugh, and I just had to involve myself in it some way. And this is Thank Goodness You're Here, and this is a comedic slapformer, as the developers call it. And obviously, when I'm reading it's a comedic slapformer, I understand the comedy bit. I saw the cutscenes, I saw the animation. Alright, I understand it. It's pretty funny, so that's the comedic bit. But what is a slapformer? I didn't know what a slapformer was, so when I picked up the game, I'm moving around just this area, sort of top-down view in some ways. And you play as a little yellow man, and you just go around this UK village that's very much just drenched in UK humour, and you go around slapping people. You've only got a jump button and a slap button. And you can go around interacting with the world. You can slap things, whether it's a post box or a bird or an animal, the people, and that's how you interact with people. That's how you basically get them to engage in dialogue. That's how you get them to, I guess, progress a quest, or just do anything. So it really encourages you just to interact with the world around you and see what happens once you slap them. And you just want to see every little joke, every little punchline, everything that's the game throws at you. And it's really clever in how it does this too, because you come out of the main, I guess, the starting area into like the little hub area. There's a fountain in the middle, there's people, and playing it for the first time, I got no idea what it is. I'm like, alright, I'll go around and see what's going on. You just work out, you can slap everything, you slap some people, and you got like a little bit of a storyline, and there's a storyline. I guess I can say a little bit of this one. There's something involving a lawnmower and some flowers that are in love, and how it sort of involves the gameplay and sets up the punchline is just really, really well done. I don't want to spoil it because it's only like a 3-hour game or a 2.5-hour game if you miss some things, so you're able to go through it relatively quickly. And once interacting with a couple of these jokes and some, I guess, some tasks and I guess some things involved in the game, you move on to the next area. And you always move on to the next area through a really weird and unique way. There's no just like walking through a gate necessarily. You just, for example, the first way you go to a new area is that you go down like this pipe that opens up. You go down underground and you sort of move the analog stick to move through this pipe. And some funny things are happening as you're going. You get to the next area. I think there's like 4 areas all up, and once you go from the 4th area, you go back to the first area, and you sort of, all these areas, they progress in their story as they go along. So what you're doing is you're seeing how the town is progressing, and the storylines you're interacting with are advancing as well, and it jokes and characters and all this stuff sort of builds up over time, which makes the jokes even funnier. And I played it on Steam, and I see that I've had some achievements that I've missed. So I know that I have missed some jokes in there, and that's a big sort of reason I want to go back in and get those achievements, because achievements are always fun to earn, but also just I want to see what those jokes are, because I see some characters on the main screen. I'm like, I actually haven't seen you. I really sort of went through this game slapping everything I could, and I must have missed some things. Maybe a house I didn't go into or something like that, but I really did have to think about whether this is my game of the year, because I had so much fun with it and I want to go back and play it. But ultimately, I think I put it number 2, because the game at number 1 was over a 20-hour game. And I played that over the course of like 2 weeks. So that was like a game that, it was a part of my life for a couple of weeks. Whereas this was like a fantastic sit-down evening. And not that it has to be anything more than that. I don't need a 10 or 20-hour, thank goodness you're here. But it's just, just what it is when it comes to these shorter games. But let's move on to number 1. My number 1 pick so far for 2024 is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And I am not typically into Metroidvanias. And this game really has some tools in it that utilized, I guess, what makes the genre good, but also takes away some of those frustrations, which I really appreciated. You can choose at the start exploration mode, which gives you waypoints on the map, and sort of shows you some things that typically Metroidvanias would just be like, go and find it. So you finish a mission, and you look on the map, and you can say, oh look, I have to go this way. And your map's not filled out yet, so it's not telling you exactly where you need to go. But it does say like, hey look, you do have to go to the top left. Instead of being like, alright, I've just got to aimlessly look around this whole map to figure out where I need to go and what I need to do next. So no, that is so annoying. Just give me like a point. Like if this was real life, if I was the Prince of Persia, if I was the main character in this game, surely somebody could just be like, hey look, you got to go here. It's like northwest. It's up there. Like surely. That's what frustrates me so much, is I just don't want to be wasting time. I don't want to be like, where do I go? That's the most annoying thing when it comes to video games for me. And is that because of, I guess, 2024 brain rot when it comes to YouTube Shorts and just like no attention span? Maybe a little bit. Did I ever enjoy these games? Not really. But when it comes to sitting down and playing games, for me, I need to like make progress in the limited amount of time I have. That's why I don't really play many Dark Souls games and things like that. Because if I get the kids to bed, 9 o'clock, I sit down, I play some video games. Look, I'm not going to be aimlessly just looking around a map when I'm half tired. I'm like, oh, look, where do I go? What am I doing? So these quality of life features really were a godsend for me, and it really did help me enjoy the game more. I didn't get stuck. I didn't, get stuck of where to go. It was a very sort of simple experience of what I needed to do. And that's backed up by fantastic presentation, an amazing story, great cutscenes, great characters, gameplay that feels awesome, like jumping around, the combat all felt amazing, the leveling up system. It was just a tremendous game. It really was. It was something that I was a little bit unsure of whether I'd enjoy, because typically Metroidvanias, they aren't really my type of thing. But yeah, these quality of life features, the story and the gameplay really did pull me through the game. And I'm happy that I got to play it. I actually signed up for a month of Ubisoft Plus to play the game. And, I got it for cheaper. I got it for, what, was it $24? And then I played the Crew Motor Fest as well, which is fantastic, Got to make use of those subscriptions. But once the game does come down, in a couple of years, or this, I guess, Black Friday or something like that, if it comes down to like $25 or $30, I'm going to pick it up. I definitely want it for my collection. It's one of my favorite games the last couple of years. So yeah, it's definitely up there. I will say, just like my conversation at the start of the video as well, where I said, like, you know, with Tears of the Kingdom, it was like 100%. That probably wasn't going to go away. If something beat Tears of the Kingdom for me last year, that game would have had to been like just top tier for me. That would have to just make me cry at the pure presence of it. How amazing it is. And Prince of Persia, you know, for me, that isn't really the case. It can be beaten, but it's just a really great game by a developer I really appreciate as well. You know, just the Ubisoft team at the Ubisoft team, the Rayman team at Ubisoft just do amazing work. And Rayman Legends, Rayman Origins, some of my favorite games as well. And I really like to see that they've got the flex their sort of platforming muscles once again, and they've done a fantastic job. So if you haven't played it, go and give it a look. It's easy to access, Ubisoft Plus. This month, Star Wars Outlaws comes out as well. So if you're going to check out Star Wars Outlaws on Ubisoft Plus, also give Prince of Persia a nice little look at as well. Really cool game. So yeah, man, just some great games, and I'm really looking forward to the next few months as well. Like I said, we've got some amazing stuff come out. Even this month, dude. Like, this month is the month of indie titles. Like, last night just started Cat Quest 3, and the Cat Quest games, I played 1 and 2 this year, and they've been really, really great. Like, they've been absolutely fantastic. So jumping into the third one, it's like it feels like it's building a lot upon what they've done. Like, the dungeons are a lot more unique, and there's a bit of a story, and there's sort of new gameplay mechanics, swapping between melee and a gun because you're a pirate cat. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, dude. So don't know, that might be a contender as well. There's a lot of great stuff, and maybe I'll just do a separate video about that, I think, rather than put it here. So yeah, I would love to know what your favorite games of 2024 are so far as well, and what you're most anticipating. I think that's exciting to think about as well. We've got a fantastic year, and I see a lot of videos on YouTube and podcasts and things sort of poo-pooing 2024. Don't know, man. Open your eyes. I know there's not like these massive PlayStation narrative experiences coming out. I know there's not. I know Xbox has been a little bit slow. Nintendo's on the re-release cycle at the end of Switch's life, but we've still got a lot to play. Just don't play only AAA games. Have a bit of a mixture. Put some variety in that salad. Be a little bit healthy. You know, you gotta look after yourself every now and again. Play some Cat Quest 3. That just came out. That's a really good game. Play, what else is a nice little indie delight? Speaking of cats, what about Little Kitty Big City? That was pretty fun. Get Game Pass for that one. I don't know. There's stuff to play anyway. But I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. But until then, happy gaming.